Hello guys, Dama.K2 here. I am joined with iMark3, Lil Kari, and we even have Yosemite Dan here in the voice chat with us. Yosemite Dan is not in the multiplayer with us, but he is watching a stream through Lil Kari. So, today we are going to be reviewing a blueprint that's from one of the newer friends of the channel. Goes by the name of Kevin. You might have already seen this up in the workshop. It's his hull guide. We wanted to wait until we were going to start recording before we loaded it in so we could have some honest reactions here. I'm already somewhat familiar with it, but yeah. Okay, so you guys ready for me to bring it in?
Yeah.
Okay. Assuming I can remember where the hell I put it.
Off to a great start.
No, I know where it's at. I'm just being facetious. Okay. Here we go. This thing is pretty big.
Might take a moment or two to load in.
Also, don't be surprised if you see like Bible quotes. Kevin's pretty fond of those. Personally, I have nothing wrong with it. I go to church myself, but you know, just giving you guys a heads up on that.
Default reaction. Needs more DACA.
Ooh, got some interesting looking hydrofoil stuff over here.
Yeah, there's all sorts in here.
Yeah. I like his little U-boat over here.
What?
There is like a section for just about every kind of craft you can think of here aside from tanks.
And I think he has a guide coming up that basically is just that.
I wouldn't be surprised. But this is more like Quest for Neater focus kind of stuff.
Very nice.
Very well documented too. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, full of tips for each part as well. Nice.
Yeah, he did a really good job of the displays. Not just trying to show what's what. I might have color coded it just a little bit so there's a little bit of a contrast. But yeah.
I'm one of those old guard numpties that doesn't colour their armour layers and stuff, so I'm fine with it all being metal.
Yeah.
I'm just reading the descriptions. It's very nice.
So do we want to like just start on one section and just kind of work our way around? Does that sound sensible?
Trying to become somewhat organised is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Where do we start with all this?
How about we start with the plane since they're the smallest? Do we go like around in a
Plain hulls or plain wings? There are two.
Oh, right. How about plain wings? And we kind of go around in maybe like a clockwise fashion? That sound good?
Yeah. Do we want to read the descriptions he's got?
Sure. So, I don't know if I want to read every single one of them, but because we'd probably be here all day trying to read all this stuff.
Yeah, we have got a lot to cover, I suppose.
Let's see here. Plane wings can be the game changer on whether a plane looks good or not. So here are some examples you can copy and make bigger depending on your idea of a build. Look at the ACBs on top. They are painted yellow. Just press Q on them out of build mode and the wings will retract using hidden spin blocks on the wings. They are an example on how to make the wings fold in case you want to make drones for carriers. Also try experimenting with the deco wings. I recommend swapping the wing blocks with a deco alloy. And also you don't want to have to use just wing blocks. You can have thruster turning planes with fake wings made out of metal. Wing deco examples, alloy wedges, and slopes. Okay, I see what he's talking about over here.
Oh, yeah, I'm poking the ACVs. Okay, very nice.
And they're working? Okay. It looks like he's got something like a F-35 over here. Anyone in particular we want to commentate on? I think I saw one that was like an A-10, but I don't know if it's... Yeah, that's in another group. Never mind. We'll get to that later.
There's an F-35.
Yeah.
F-22.
I saw that. Hologram projectors to try to get... Yeah, I see a lot of people use that method. The use hologram projectors like this to replicate the shapes from images. Just get a hologram projector and paste the image link in the URL tab. That's a very popular method that I see over in the aesthetics Discord.
It's not often you see planes with inverted wings. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do believe the Russians had one. I can't remember if it was going to be like a MiG or a Sukhoi or what, but yeah, the inverted wings have been around for a while. I think also NASA was experimenting with one. Stop me if I'm wrong here, Lokari.
I'm not sure, actually.
Okay.
I do know it had force-swept wings beforehand in the military.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, go ahead.
Technically, the one force-swept wing that Aiyon just messed with
Uh-huh.
is actually wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, you mean the one that's just got 3 different wing positions on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of like maybe an F-111.
Yeah, the aardvark.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was having too much fun looking at all the folded up configurations on them.
Yeah, the one military one had the force-swept wings further back in the plane, while it had 2 Conrads.
Mm-hmm.
How do you pronounce those front wings in front of it?
Can you?
Canards.
Canards.
There we go.
It took me a sec. Okay, so is there anything else we want to say about this, or do we want to move on?
Very good examples of compact plane holes and wing configurations. So yeah,
Yeah, if you can make these
Me
work with
like
some small custom jet engines.
yeah. Well, some of them even come with propellers already installed. So
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is also I want to point out is that you can use spin clipping to make these actually work much better.
Probably, yeah.
this is meant to be like a basic example kind of thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, spin clipping might be a little above people's heads, especially if they're new.
Yeah. This is not meant to be an advanced guide, I don't think.
Probably not, no. Anyway, are we ready to move on? Okay. I guess we'll be moving on to the ship hull since we're doing this clockwise.
Alrighty, ship holes.
Who would like to do the honors of reading this one?
I guess it's my turn.
Yes,
Yep.
go for it.
Right. This is as simple as it gets. Here are lots of hulls you can copy. There are some typos
mistake.
in this. There are some. Well, there was a typo in the other one as well. Copy their shape for your future projects. Personally, I recommend building the skeleton first, like the railings in the front, then build the rest. But this is up to you and your build style. I also recommend building the weapons first, then using the backspace keybinds to place them, and shape the skeleton hull around them. Who's changing the height of the thing?
Yeah, I've been wondering that too.
Lokari's being very quiet.
I said not me.
Oh.
No, we didn't hear anything, Lokari. And I also recommend making roles for your ships, like a submarine hunter, cruiser, frigate, submarine hunter, etc. Yes, it does have submarine hunter twice. I think he doesn't like submarines.
Well, here's the thing with the Kevin. I believe he's somewhere in Eastern Europe, so I don't think English is his first language.
No, I'm not trying to poke fun, sorry.
No, I just thought I should mention that before people start
okay.
like throwing fits about spelling errors and grammar and whatnot.
I think it's adjusting to the average height of the waves, actually. Right, sorry. Some holes here will be cut in half to showcase multiple ways you can make different shapes. That's why they are not symmetrical. Examples, railings, different shape ideas. There are ACBs inside that by interacting with them will turn off the text. If it gets in the way, just look inside the ship and search for yellow ACBs. Very considerate,
Alright.
thank you.
So that thing's moving up and down on its own.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of getting annoying. Okay, whatever. Do we? Well, I guess we'll just start from the closest one and work our way over.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay.
First one's got a decent
So
power on it.
yeah, railing end example. I see a lot of people using this kind of example here. I know it looks great. I'm not particularly a fan of it because it seems like something that could be obstructing your main weapons and or secondaries.
Depends on how you build the rest of the hull, really, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a personal preference thing, but yeah, if you want to go ahead and use it, be my guest. I like to make sure that my guns can be able to depress quite a bit, if need be.
Then, how about a raised citadel section behind these railings? Just so the guns are a little bit higher.
Well, then you become a higher profile.
You're going to be a high profile anyway.
Mm.
And an extra meter just to make sure that isn't really going to matter much on a big ship.
Yeah.
Like I said, just a preference thing.
That's fine.
Hey guys,
Yes, Dan.
if I might toss something out, maybe a little suggestion y'all might want to add.
Sure.
As you go through these, maybe go like, wow, this one looked like it would be a good starter for Neater, or this one would be a good starter for this or that, or this one looks like it, done well, it could fight the whoever, something like that. I mean, I know pretty much anything can be adapted to work, but if anything jumps out at you and goes, this one looks like it is built to fight Lightning Hoods, or could be.
Well, like you said, you could probably adapt any one of these to be proficient against fighting about anything. It's more about what you're talking about. More goes into the armoring and the weapons and the propulsion and the active defenses. So trying to gauge something like that with just a hull alone might be kind of difficult to discern. Anywho,
actually, on that note,
Go
a
ahead,
lot of these are actually built for low resistance when cutting through the water. So they built with like 4-meter slopes and things like that for most of their forward face.
Mhm.
The only exception really is more of a teardrop shaped one on the outer edge, and those big forward holes. That big one, looks like it's part of a much bigger ship. These are mostly like smaller, more agile vessels.
which one are you talking about in particular?
For which, well, the ones that aren't optimized for speed as much.
Yeah. Which one in particular are you talking about? Because
Someone just put a pole on the one that is like an example of the whole to have a bigger ship rather than one that go fast. So that one's definitely geared more towards like internal volume than water resistance.
that hull right there honestly kind of looks like it'd be like maybe for a container ship. That's kind of the feel that I'm getting with that. Like some kind of cargo vessel.
I'm thinking that as well.
I like the
Then
one
the
that's... Oh, go ahead, Aiyon.
The teardrop shaped one I mentioned, which
which
is a
one?
slightly short one, is that
Okay.
one there. So you can see it's got a shorter angle on it.
Actually, I've used something somewhat similar to this for a torpedo boat, and it was actually working pretty well. That thing gets about, over 50 meters a second? But it's extremely small. It's probably no bigger than maybe 7 or 9 meters wide.
Yeah, it's probably worth
Got a
noting
steam
that
drive.
a lot of people do try to go for the low drag angles on their hulls. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of the way that shipbuilding meta has gone.
That's something like this could probably be like a light cruiser, I think. It's probably a bit too wide to be a destroyer, I think, though. I do like the bulbous and rambows that he's done with these. I think the one that's third from the inside, I think that's probably my favorite. It kind of has like a Yamato feel to it. But the one that's furthest on the other end here, I really like that one too. That's a style I've used a lot for my Dominion of Dama builds.
I would like to give kudos for a second here.
Sure.
The fourth one out is actually a rarer style of hull. The inverted slope on it.
Yes, you don't see a whole lot of those.
No, they are
not
very
even
rare.
in real life. That's a Zumwalt.
Which was an experimental destroyer that the United States built.
I think they only
yep.
managed to get like 4 of those out because they're so expensive. Cost overruns and whatnot.
If I remember right, they had a small problem of the aluminium frame snapping.
Yeah, the Zumwalt had its problems.
Yeah, just a
see it around.
It was on paper good,
Mhm.
in substance not so much.
Yeah.
But luckily in FTD we don't have to worry about material stress, so there we go.
Oh, just imagine if we actually had to worry about that.
Oh God,
It would
Yeah, I
be
think
a wonderfully complex game.
isn't it already? I don't know.
It would be complex in the right way. As soon
Hmm.
as you take a small hole in the hole, watch the entire thing collapse.
Yeah, probably.
Uh,
Are we ready to move on to the skeleton examples, or do you guys want to talk about any other of these hulls here?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Um, the skeleton example over here, I've actually used that, but I guess it's my turn to read the description here.
I'm going to do it if you don't want to.
I'm good. So skimmers and hydrofoils are fast and don't need to worry about water drag that much, but they are kind of difficult to work with. Yeah, especially if you're new. I think I recommend
Yeah, very much.
starting with a hull and making a skeleton off of there. Hydrofoils are very rare and a nice way to get your comfort zone by experiment with making one.
That is very accurate, actually.
Yeah.
It should be mentioned that you don't 100% need hydrofoils. I mean, you could totally use them if you want, but like Wilkari mentioned earlier before we started recording this, you can use the new rudders to basically have the same effect. But that probably is a little, if not a lot more technical than what's going on here. So
Yeah, that's more
Yeah.
advanced.
a lot more advanced.
Hydrofoil is the more entry-level friendly, at least as far as hydrofoil vehicles go.
were you going to say something, Dan? Okay, I guess not.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'm sorry, you guys are talking to me. My microphone keeps cutting out and stuff.
Oh, okay. Did you want to say something, Dan?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So, it looks like he's kind of got a few different variations on what looks like a Pegasus over here with these hydrofoils.
Which one?
Which one?
Like, there's three of them here, like the innermost one, and then the one that comes like right after that, and like one that's like fourth one from the inside.
So
Yeah, that's probably
this
worth
one?
mentioning.
Yes, that one.
Probably worth mentioning that one of the reasons hydrofoils are a bit more difficult is because they actually have a very high center of mass. So that's why often they have the hydrofoils spread out beneath them just to try and keep them balanced. They tip over quite
Right.
easily.
Yeah, I actually had to do a lot of fiddling with my hydrofoil before I actually got it perfectly, balanced.
Yeah, and then there's also the risk of damage because the foils are usually extended outside of any real armor protection on the main vessel itself. So that's another reason why they aren't as common.
But yeah, I can see what he's trying to say here with the trying to make a skeleton to kind of get an idea where things can go. That's
Yep.
a method that I've used for several ships that I've built actually, but not necessarily for installing hydrofoils. I do use them, albeit kind of rarely, because they can help a lot with pitch control, especially if you're okay with using them internally. To a degree, they can kind of do roll control too, but that takes a little bit more finesse, for lack of a better term.
A bit more monkeying.
Yes, thank you. So, over here, let's have a look at what he's got here for the skeleton examples here. The hologram projector. Yeah, I think I briefly touched on this method when we were looking at that F-35 over there. Very, very popular method by people who do aesthetic builds a lot, so I could definitely recommend it.
I'm sorry, where are you looking?
There,
Like ship hulls.
yes, over here by the ship hulls island, there's one that where there's like a cutout of Yamato.
Oh, right. So you double back to that then. Okay.
Yeah. And we got some skeleton examples here. Look like just some unfinished hulls here. Not very thick, this somewhat completed one here. But yeah, a lot of people, they'll just like try to get the basic shape down. Me, I kind of have a different method that I go about it, but it's not too dissimilar from this. Are we ready to move on, or do you guys want to talk about anything else in this part of it?
The hydrofoil or the skeleton example.
Either or. I was just
Well,
covering them both because they were kind of on the same part of the ring, so. Or they, at a glance, it looked like they were anyway. Sorry.
Well, the one thing is the ship's hulls that have the hydrofoils just pretty much made out of the bottom. That's a bit rarer, actually, in front of depths. You generally see the hydrofoils stick out a bit more, or have a bit less of them.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of exposed hydroflows because they will just fall off if you sow as much sneeze on them. That's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could probably call this style more of a wave skimmer because it's meant to sit high in the water, so it gets less drag, moves more quickly. But it's not raising itself up for maximum effect. Instead, it's hunkering down a bit to protect the actual hydrofoils as well.
I'm just saying,
It's
a
half
little
and
bit of
half.
armoring up could go a long way in protecting them. It might make it a little bit more expensive, but again, that's a preference.
Yeah.
All right, so do we want to move on to the submarines, or is there anything else that we want to discuss here?
Not really.
Okay. Ian, how would you like to read us the description here for the submarines?
Mind if I rate it?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I didn't know if you wanted to read these or not. I figured since me and Ian were recording, it'd just be us. But yeah, if you want to, go right on ahead.
Yeah. Personally, I recommend starting with in the front of the hull and getting a skeleton of the hull and an idea how the shape will look like. If a submarine uses any turrets, I suggest putting them down first, using the backspace key binding and shaping the hull around them. It's very slow.
Depends on your build.
Yeah.
I don't know. You put a crank motor in one of these, and you can get some really high speeds.
Yeah. So, the very slow thing is basic build preference. AI
Yeah.
can get a bit finicky. Let's just be honest, AI normally is a bit finicky. Can't use crams or lasers. Well, depending on how far down or this submarine's supposed to surface every now and again, you can use crams and lasers, but why surface when there's an enemy present? There's just rules for the submarine. Submarine hunter, light to heavy submarine, stealth submarine, anything slow and heavy hitting. Why build a submarine? Lasers have reduced damage underwater. Any APHL without super cab will suffer. Crams will be useless against one stealthy.
I don't know what that has to do with being stealthy, but okay.
No, stealthy is separate.
Yeah, stealthy stuff.
Oh, okay.
That is pretty true because most detection doesn't work underwater.
Yeah, there's only like
sonar.
there's a few others that work. I believe the retroflective sensor works underwater. I think
Yeah,
the
the most
laser
common ones
rangefinder
don't.
might. Don't quote me on that, but I think it might.
Not sure about that one.
That's why I said might.
Because infrared and cameras don't. if I
No,
recall.
no, they don't. Pretty sure radar doesn't. But yeah. Anywho, where would we like to start with these? Guessing we just start from the innermost one and just work our way over?
Yeah.
Okay. This one right here at the beginning, it kind of makes me think probably like a modern submarine, like a nuclear submarine is kind of what I'm thinking with it.
Yeah, but the conning tower needs to be moved forward about 4
Yeah.
blocks.
Well, also it looked like he just did the front of it, and we don't really have any idea reference of how far back it would go. But yeah, I could see where you're.
I think these first two are just examples to get you started, really,
Mhm.
rather than a complete whole.
I like to make mine just a little bit bigger than this to house like bigger and better systems. But again, preference. You could probably get away with what you got here without too much issue.
It is worth noting you could, on a bigger submarine, give it an outer layer of like rubber or some other less detectable substance to
That
reduce
is a
its
trick I
crossing.
use a lot, actually.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be a pure metal or alloy hull. You can
Yeah.
have an outer layer to help with stealth characteristics.
Then he has the U-boat after that.
Actually, we got this fancy looking one with a fin on top of it. I don't think we talked about it at all. I think it's
You mean number 2?
yes.
It's like a more refined version of the first hull, showing a bit more angle, a bit more stylized version.
I think it's more of a fantasy style hull, but yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
after the
I think
shark
it's more
fin here.
streamlined as well. Actually.
Yes.
Yes, it's very much more streamlined. Yeah.
Okay.
After the shark fin submarine we have is the U-boat.
Yes, I really like the way this one works. Or, I'm sorry, looks. I'm not entirely sure where you'd be mounting the props, but I guess that's not too big a deal. You'd probably figure that out.
There are some mounted things at the back
Yes.
suggesting where the props will be.
You sure those aren't just for, like, I was thinking rudders.
Who says the rudders aren't turning?
Oh, who the hell
Right.
knows?
But the propeller's turning. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Then we
Maybe-
have a hammerhead design.
Yeah, that kind of gives me a kind of a Steel Striders vibe to it.
I was just thinking that.
Yes.
It's a good example to show that you're not locked into real-world shapes, really, with this.
It should be
You can go off and do anything.
It should be noted, though, a lot of times with submarines, if you want to get a very efficient hull, you really have to try to reduce that drag as much as you can, or you're just going to be paying through the nose to use crank motors to get it to whatever speed you want.
Yeah, but at a certain point, certain size, depends on how much power you're putting into it as well.
The one on the very far end almost kind of makes me think World War II. Just slightly.
Yeah, again, that angled boat-themed prow on it.
I do really like how he did the what I'm assuming are the launch tubes here in the front. I think that looks awesome. Have like the little cutouts on the left and right sides, but the only problem is medium-sized torpedoes aren't that great unless you have like tons and tons of them.
Could always use my trick and stack them behind each other.
Probably, yeah.
Plus, you've got to remember that a lot of earlier submarines and things didn't have more than like 1 or 2 torpedo tubes. So,
You also remember that submarines are a lot more effective in real life than from the devs.
Yeah, I just prefer using large torpedoes myself. I don't mess with the medium ones except for maybe like early game.
I still use small ones. You know, I swear by small missiles.
Yeah. Though it seems like frag's the only thing that seems to be worth a damn at that size, but
No,
Preference.
explosives, EMPs, they can all do something.
EMP frag pretty nasty at that size, but I don't think I've used explosive.
Even kinetic ram is useful.
Yeah, I could see that. Of course, I did the hiccups like halfway through trying to record this, but I think I'll be okay. So
Okay, got 2 left after this one.
okay. Would anyone like to volunteer to read this, or
I guess I'm volunteered, aren't I? Okay. Planes are very fast and easy to build. Personally, I recommend starting with the custom jet engine, the C-Jets, if you're building a jet. And then make the wings and then the hull. If you're making a bigger plane, start with the hull. These are plane hulls. If you want an idea of how to make the wings, there is a separate section called Plane Wings, which is where we started, actually. You can get inspired there too. Here are some of my planes that I retrofitted for this guide. I left the custom jets as an example on where to start the builds, and some use turning thrusters, which is why the wings are metal. Also think whether you're making a hydrofoil plane, a plane that flies only with the wing blocks, or a plane that turns and stabilizes with thrusters.
okay then. I don't know about you guys, but I am looking for the whatever the hell's making this thing go up and down and drive me nuts.
It's the AI's movement settings. If you
Yeah,
turn the AI off, it should stop doing it.
All right. Yeah, that's anyway. So I can just get back to where we were. I was looking at this first plane here while Aiyon was reading off on that, and I saw a method that I've used here myself where you have the intakes internally mounted and you just put a bunch of the vents, well, like right in front of it, so that way you don't have the engines completely exposed. Very clever trick. Any of the other examples you guys want to discuss?
well, if you want the example of the military plane I mentioned back at the wings,
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at that. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that one from playing Ace Combat. I loved that one.
yeah,
One of them seems to be freaking out a little bit.
just dancing.
Just dancing, yes.
Yeah, this is what I kind of was talking about. In fact, this is the almost exact design.
Oh, the one with the reverse wings?
Yep.
Yeah, not a
Notice,
bad
by the way,
looking
that one actually turns its air intakes to come in from the top of the design for the most part.
You know, that
Except
reminds
for one. There's one that turns downwards.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I remember seeing a documentary on YouTube about a plane that the Germans were working on with a similar configuration to this. It was going to be a jet bomber. Been interesting to see how that would have panned out, but of course, you know, all the jet stuff just really didn't wasn't enough of it to make that big a difference.
Yeah.
Anywho, I see he's got his ACB set up on several of these where the wings sweep forwards and backwards. It's not really that hard to do. I've actually done it myself with some other designs with the wings going forward and backward like that. It's just trying to find out what settings you want to cause that to happen. That can be a little challenging trying to decide on that. I usually go by speed, but yeah, that's just how I go about it. Was there another one that we wanted to discuss? Because I see one that vaguely resembles an A10.
There's actually two that vaguely resembles an A10.
I suppose so, yeah.
Well, no love for the C-141.
Yeah, there's also the AC-41 over there.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, from what I can tell, it just made two examples of how to make an A10 light vehicle.
Yeah, those are somewhat popular. I see people trying to build them all the time. I typically don't build hulls like these for planes. I usually try to go with like a lifting body so I have more room internally, and it's still very, very efficient because it's wedge shaped. So again, that's another preference of mine.
Speaking of lifting bodies, quick question: is the F-15 a plane or a rocket?
The answer is yes.
Yes, it's a plane-shaped rocket or a rocket-shaped plane.
They
I
are
can
not
see that.
mutually exclusive.
Because its thrust-to-weight ratio is above 1.
Isn't it capable of breaking the sound barrier going straight up?
Yes, it's also capable of flying without its wings.
That's so.
Yeah, the F-15's thrust-to-weight ratio is actually above 1, which is basically saying it doesn't need wings to fly. It can literally just use its engines.
Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming this is like either a large bomber or a cargo plane? This big one over here with the 4 custom jet engines under the wings?
Yeah, I was just thinking that as well.
It's got a bulked up section beneath the wing mount, so probably a bomber.
Nose makes me think cargo because it doesn't seem like it'd be that aerodynamic to me, but
The entire thing isn't really built for aerodynamics.
not really.
Yeah,
That's,
more
that's
of
what I
an
was calling
aesthetic
it.
design.
What was
That's
that
what I
name?
was calling it. That's what I was calling a C-141.
Mhm.
Though it's not really that close to that either.
But plane shapes can be very, very hard to get down, especially if you're trying to make something that's very efficient. Because trying to get slopes to line up, that can be a huge pain in the ass. Anywho,
I'm trying to track down on that forward swept wing deal.
Mhm.
I swear Saab did a concept plane that looked exactly like that way back.
really,
I think they took the what is the vegan, whatever you pronounce that, and just did a concept off of it. I'm looking
Grapin. Is it the Grapin?
no,
Okay.
I mean that's close, but not the. You look at a vegan, it looks the same. Well, either one of them really could pass, except they have the delta wings and not that force whip.
Mm-hmm.
But I swear they did a concept one time. Maybe just a drawing, but some Saab guys,
Yeah.
So he also has something here at the end about skeleton examples.
I'll do them.
Yep. I recommend starting with the custom jet first. That's actually something that I do myself, so I can kind of get an idea where this thrust is going to be coming from. Then I just kind of build around it. I usually have a pretty good idea of where stuff's going to go, but that's probably because I've been playing this for way too long. Building like this will make it very easy to change the wings if there's something you won't like. Okay. Anyone else want to make any comments about the aircraft over in this part?
No.
No? So, some good examples, and yeah.
I kind of want to take.
shows a good ride.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of want to play around with this A10 one just a little bit. I think I could get a pretty nasty APS in that.
we already have a similar hull that we put together before.
Yeah, that's true. Anywho, I guess we'll go on to this next group of hulls over here. I believe these are airships.
Yep.
This is the last one.
Okay. Would you guys like me to read it, or would someone like to volunteer? I'm fine either
I
way.
got it.
Okay, go for it, Lokari.
I recommend making a skeleton for the airship unless you're making a Zeppelin, but it's up to your build style. You can combine multiple hulls where it's very easy here that you can combine multiple hulls here. Very easy. So I suggest you take 2 airships and try to combine what you like about one project. Some hulls here will be cut in half to showcase multiple ways you can be in a different shape. That's why they're not symmetrical. Examples, railings, and slash shape ideas. If you already have an idea what airship you want to make, go for it. If not, try thinking of the airship you want to make would be making. Would it be light, heavy in terms of aesthetics? Would it be reinforced like a Zeppelin with heavy beam outlines around it? Or a massive airship with a giant balloon? Just some ideas.
Alright, thank you for that, Lokari.
Yep.
So, let's have a look at some of these. I kind of like this very first one here. It kind of has a Warhammer vibe to it, though I think he's got one down there that's even more Warhammer-y, but we'll get to it soon. I actually use a lot of these offset techniques to make my own airships. Get that nice round shape that he's showing off here with this first one. I kind of want to borrow some of this, though, because that looks pretty good. Anyway, do you guys want to have one in particular that you want to talk about?
Not really. There's some interesting designs here.
Yeah, here's the one with the huge inverted bow here. Very, very pointy. Very, very Warhammer. Looks pretty good, honestly.
And after that one, there's one that basically you can just mount a bunch of front forward-facing missiles on. Easily.
I could see that, yeah.
Then 2 over, you have what effectively referred to as the Halo building style.
Yes, I could definitely see that.
Which one?
Let's see, 1, 2. Actually, yeah, that's the one. The one that's got the
Alright.
4-meter beams on it. But yeah, that definitely has a Halo vibe to it.
Yeah, you can definitely build a pillar bottom with this design.
Yeah, looks pretty good. The one next to it kind of has a bit of a Halo-y vibe to it as well.
I think it's for more the Covenant style.
Actually, part of me was thinking Homeworld.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Bit of Kushan.
Definitely Kushan. And then we have this one here. This is an interesting shape. I'm wondering if these raised bits on the left and right sides are for like a missile battery or something.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think you're going for examples of interesting hull shapes. But yeah, I can see a missile battery being mounted in that.
And then we have this one way over here on the end. Not entirely sure if this is referencing anything off the top of my head, but it does look very nice. Has some very interesting shapes incorporated into it.
Looks like it's multi-layer.
Yes.
Actually.
Yeah. A completely smooth hull.
Okay, does anyone want to ask questions or commentate on any of these hulls over here, or we're good on them?
I think we're good. I mean, this is just another case of like examples of big bulky hulls that might inspire you.
Yeah, of course with airships you kind of want a little extra bulk to the hull, so that way you can try to get a bit more lift with the helium, but yeah. What was that little card?
And also design airships that are a bit difficult due to the simple fact that you have to design them to be a bit more well-rounded armored.
Yes. Like big old gas bags, I get you.
But more lines of the fact that, you know, your bottom of the ship is actually the more weaker point, while the top be more reinforced since you're above the enemy, while the top of the airship is a bit weaker.
Alright, so I think you covered everything here. Dan, do you have anything you'd like to say or add?
I finally found the 4 swift wings. 29 and the Sukhoi.
I thought it might have been a Sukhoi.
Yeah. Though, in From the Depths, which direction the wings face doesn't really matter for what real life usually uses them for.
Yeah, not really.
It's also for the sweeping wings you also had. Is also
Oh, useful tip though, if you're wanting to build something like a dragster, if you put the wings on upside down, they'll give you more traction. Kind of how they do it in real life.
Actually, you can just simply do that by going to the wing settings and just changing the lift factor.
Yeah, you could probably do it that way too. Then you get rid of the annoying message that says you put them in upside down. So yeah, probably a good idea.
Also, I might go in. I might subscribe to his thing here.
I'd
and
recommend it.
borrow
He's
a
got some
little-
good stuff here.
Yeah. I'm thinking about borrowing something from the submarines and trying to do a Sequest DSV.
Ooh, that'd
That
be
might
cool.
be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You take that hammerhead starter he's got and revise it, maybe.
All right, so I guess we're okay with wrapping this up.
Yeah.
All right. Aiyon, would you like to do the outro?
You are the one that's better at pretending to be competent, so I'll leave that to you.
Okay, fair enough. I just figured since I did the intro, I'd offer to let you do the outro, but anyway,
No, it's all yours.
okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you like what you've seen here today, please let us know with a like, comment, or even better, subscription. You guys have yourselves a hell of a day, and keep your hammer high. Later, guys.
Later.